So we'll start with Srila Prabhupada, I think. Be fitting. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shmati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminti Namane Namasti Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Niru Shisha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Jaya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya. So, Srila Prabhupada.
You can remove the mask everyone else is wearing.
Luis?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada was he was talking to the managers for the Bhavananda Prabhu, and he's saying that he said the devotees, they're sleeping in this lotus building. That was the first building we had here. They're sleeping in the lotus building, and they are leaving the doors open because it's hot at night time. But later on in the night time, the wind comes and it slams on the door. And he said, it's so disturbing to me because I'm trying to write my books. And I couldn't write my books because it was almost, people are coming and see me all the time. And he said, so I prayed to Krishna that I may not be able to sleep at night. And then I won't get disturbed because everybody loves their sleep. So nobody will come and disturb me at night time. No one will sleep. He said, but it's very disturbing because when I'm writing my books, I have the tickets of the different acharyas there, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sridhar Swami, and I put these books, I read the acharyas' commentaries, and then I condense all that, and then that becomes the Bhaktivedanta purport. And and sometimes when I'm trying to figure out just one word that kind of summarizes for the conclusion of the other charyas, I'm waiting for one word that expresses the proper meaning, the proper feeling of that shloka. And sometimes, he said, it takes me 3 days just to get this one word, so it may convey the proper meaning to us. So he said that when I hear these doors slam, it cracks my heart. So this is the sincerity and the compassion that Prabhupada has on us. He gave up his sleeping for you and me, so we could get those books. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, he said, Krishna just gave me that benediction. I don't have to sleep. Now I can translate. Prabhupada was very happy to be in the Dham. But specifically, the devotees started coming in 1972, Gaur Purnima. This was the first ISKCON Gaur Purnima festival. And I remember Prabhupada came, he was very happy. He was smiling and went to stay in Bhajan Kuti, and he rubbing the heads of Chutananda especially, I noticed. And Prabhupada stayed there in the Bhajan Kuti, but he was completely unfazed by the lack of facility there. He's coming from New York, Los Angeles, sophisticated cities around the world, and then he comes to Mayapur and there's nothing. No electricity, no running water. But he wasn't fazed by it. He just continued his service. He'd wake up early in the morning and start his translation work. He used to use the dictaphone, speak into and it records it, and then it was transcribed by his disciples. And of course there was no electricity, so Prabhupada used to have his typewriter and have a mosquito net over his bed. And then he would do the work under the mosquito net, typing. And I think with one finger he was typing. And in the morning he would go and take his bath at the tube well, the pump. Do his morning walk as usual after his translation work. So this was Prabhupada, completely unfazed by the situation. Only just executing the order of his Guru under any condition. He had his pet likes also, and his pet dislikes. Like the slamming of the windows. Also, he didn't like mosquitoes, and there was a lot of mosquitoes, and Bhajan Kuti was the only building around. Few Gaudiya Math temples were here, but no one was living this side. So at night time we would have candles, and Prabhupada had a kerosene lantern. And but as soon as you put the lights on, the candles on, all the different mosquitoes and different bugs were attracted to the light and coming in. And Prabhupada said they're very spiteful, these mosquitoes, very spiteful. He said, I just put my hands under my mosquito net to get some papers. He said, immediately they come and they bite me. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he asked Srila Prabhupada, do they have mosquitoes in Goloka Vrindavan? He said, if they are, they're all chanting Hare Krishna. Another thing he didn't like was people who snored at night. And so the president, Bhavananda Prabhu, was telling everybody, when Prabhupada comes, he said, he shouldn't be disturbed. If there's any people who's snoring, you can't stay here. That was the only building. This was the Bhajan Kuti. So you snore? Do you snore? No. Okay. So then Prabhupada came in the middle of the night. Bhavananda, someone is snoring. Bhavananda jumped up and looked, well, the devotees were sleeping on the veranda on the outside. Then he sees the devotees sleeping, snoring away. Bhavananda shakes. You're disturbing Prabhupada. He wasn't supposed to be here if you're snoring. Get out. Put him under the tree. There's nowhere else to go there. So the snakes come out at night time. Anyway, these were two of his pet dislikes. Snores and mosquitoes. And both of them come out at night. And that's when Prabhupada did his translation. That was his service to his guru for translating at night. So anything that interferes with one's service to guru, that becomes like Prabhupada's dislikes, because it interfered with his service to his own guru. I used to take I used to like cow dung patties to make smoke and to get rid of the mosquitoes. So I put light the gobar and have a talpata fan. Makes lots of smoke. Prabhupada liked it. All the devotees were, the eyes were streaming because there's a lot of smoke. He liked it very thick. A lot of devotees didn't understand what it was at first. Because I used to take it every day after the bhajan kuti. He said that Prabhupada said, he said, my Guru Maharaj used to have his chapatis cooked on the cow dung. He said it gives very nice flavor. Cow dung smoke gives very nice flavor for the chapatis. So we used to take that smoke, we used to get the frankincense, dhuna. And we used to take the dhuna in the evening, offer to take it to Radha Madhava altar, and then go up to Prabhupada's room, offer it to Prabhupada, then go around the building and on the rooftop. So every day we had this little service. And there was some Shastriji were here from Nepal. They were studying Rig Veda. And they met Prabhupada. They became very attracted to him. One of them even got initiated. I think his name was Gangaram. But anyway, he said to Prabhupada, can I give your pujaris some non-fruitive mantras to use? Prabhupada said, okay. So he taught us the Purusha Shukta, the famous Purusha Shukta prayers. All the Vedas chant the Purusha Shukta. And so he taught us that mantra. And then he would come with us when we took the smoke. So I had a little group, we formed a little group. I had the smoke, Shastriji was leading the mantra, the Purusha Shukta mantras. Someone had a bell, someone had some Achman water, flicking water. And I had the smoke and the fan. And we go on Sunday time, offer it to the deities, and then come up and offer it to Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada was giving his darshan at that time. It's about 6 o'clock or something in the evening. He was giving his darshan, especially during a festival, that devotees were coming from different places around the world. And a lot of them couldn't relate to this smoke and everything. Because Prabhupada said, it gets really thick, and I would say, should I open the windows, Prabhupada? No. Open the doors? No, it's okay. More smoke. And it used to get thick, really thick. You couldn't see anyone practically. Generally, the system in Bengal is that you fill the room up with smoke, then you turn all the lights off. Turn all the lights off. You fill the room with smoke. Fill the room with smoke, then turn all the lights off. And then open the doors and turn on the fan. Open the windows, and immediately all the mosquitoes, they all fly out quickly. But Prabhupada, I said, should I open the windows, doors? No. He liked it like that. And the devotees, lots of devotees couldn't understand what was going on. Heavy smoke, it looks like fire. Where there is smoke, there is fire there. And some were coughing, more or less psychological. Shall we open the doors, Prabhupada? No, it's okay. Some of them would have to leave, they were coughing. And it was a daily service we had for Prabhupada. The last time Prabhupada was here in 1977, and I went to his room in the Lotus building. And I paid my obeisances. It's a frankincense, Srila Prabhupada. He would generally, meaning yes. In India, this means yes. In the West, this is yes. But anyway, Prabhupada, I would ask him, frankincense, Srila Prabhupada? Yes. So I could go and sit by the side of Prabhupada, and I would start using the fan and blowing the smoke. And you can direct the smoke with the fan also. So you can get under the desk and things like that. So I started off fanning under the desk where the mosquitoes hide. And no one else was there that time. And Prabhupada was just chanting on his beads, very kind of slowly. And when Prabhupada was chanting, you could hear them like clicking. He was chanting. The sound, tick, 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 like that, tick, 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 tick. And then he opened his eyes and he looked up at me, and he said, "This creates such an atmosphere of spiritual understanding. This is so nice, so nice." Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Oh. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he established the Chaitanya Math and Jogbeat was discovered by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was staying here, developing the Dharma. Actually, he was in Jagannath Puri with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but his preaching was so vigorous against the different Babajis, and was that one Ramdas Babaji? He had a bogus mantra, Tagore Radhisham Hare Krishna, whatever, some mantra like that. So even Bhaktisiddhanta questioned him, why you are chanting this mantra? This is a Rashabhasya, you're chanting Nitai Gaur and Radhisham on the same level there. So a couple of defects in his philosophy, in Siddhanta. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so what do you say, vehemently preaching that, and this Ram Das was very, very popular in Puri. Everybody liked him. So Bhaktisiddhanta was so ferocious that he was always preaching against them. It was like that Puri, Jagannath Puri, was set on ablaze by his strong preaching, and the people were upset, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that you better leave. You're causing a big commotion in Jagannath Puri. Go to Mayapur and develop Mayapur. But then he came here and he took a vow to chant 1 billion names, actual lakh. It means 3 lakhs of rounds every day for 10 years. That was his vow. That was his rata. And he completed it here at the Chaitanya Math. He had a little shed with a tin roof. And when it rained, there was a hole in the roof. So he would hold it up an umbrella while he did his bhajan. Didn't spend any time for maintenance or minimum time, so he would hold an umbrella up. And like that, he was living here as an abadut. He used to have jot, dreadlocks, with his long hair. And he was doing very strict And one day he was chanting and with one of his disciples. Then one ghost came in the form of just a hand. It came in like that. And the disciple went, oh, it's a ghost, it's a ghost. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And the ghost went away. Then he came back again. Just a hand came. It's a ghost, ghost. Bhaktisiddhanta, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. He wasn't concerned about the ghost. He had one disciple, maybe in his first disciple, who was the son of a judge, I think, also. Anyway, he came here. He had heard about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, so he came to see him. Very much impressed. He was going to take initiation from this another person who was there. So, but when he met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he decided that he should take initiation from him. So that night he had a dream, and in the dream he saw that devotee who person who wants to give him initiation. He was grihastha. He had a husband and wife. They came in his dream. He was in the form of a tiger, and his wife was in the form of a lion. The tigers, lion and tiger, and they were approaching him with a desire to. And he was very scared. All of a sudden, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in the dream jumped out. The lion and tiger fled away. He woke up in the morning thinking, yeah, he's my guru. He came to Mayapur and took initiation from him. And he stayed there at the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pit for about 10 years. He was living very austere, like an abbot would. He'd do that chatumasya very strictly. Put your hands behind your back. I don't know if the brahmacharis is doing this, but for the Bhishma Panchakam, but put the hands behind your back and you put the havisham, then you go down like a cow eats. One time when you come back, that's finished. You don't go down again. So he was following like that very strictly. The Chatumasya Vrata. And at the end of his vows, he writes in his biography that at the end of the vow, he had a vision of the Panchatattva. He said they were coming from the eastern direction towards the jog pit. And Panchatattva was there. His guru was there. This was after they'd all left. His guru was there. 6 Goswamis were there. All the devotees were there. They come to approach Bhaktisiddhanta and they said, now you should give up your austerities, give up your penances. Now you should go out and preach. We are all behind you. You don't worry for anything. If you need manpower, we will send. If you need money, we will send. As you need, we will send. So you don't worry for anything. Just go out and preach fearlessly. This is a message for all of us here. Don't fear for anything in your preaching. Simply go out and preach. Krishna, Panchatattva will take care. So then he said, if I have to preach, I have to go where the people are. So he went to Calcutta. His Guru Maharaj, Srila Gokishwar Das Babaji Maharaj said that. Never go to Calcutta. This is the realm of Kali. Never go there. So he was asked, how come now you're going in Calcutta preaching? Your Guru Maharaj told you can't go, shouldn't go. And he said, wherever the preaching of Gauranga is going on, that place is none different than Vrindavan, none different than Navadvip, none different than Mayapur. So when I go to Calcutta, I don't go to Calcutta. I go to Navadvip. My preaching is there. So then he left, he started his mission, his preaching mission in Calcutta. He had the name Singha Guru, like lion. One day he was in Calcutta. His disciples said, Guru Maharaj, this guy coming the opposite way, he's that big Mayavadi, preaching like anything in Calcutta, Mayavad philosophy. Immediately, Bhaktisiddhanta, hearing that word, Mayavadi, became angry. He crossed over the road to face him, walked up to him, slapped him around the face. Why you are preaching this philosophy that denies the living entity his eternal loving relationship with Krishna? Yeah. Nothing to say. So one time in the Bhajan Kutir, Prabhupada he's come to Mayapur, maybe 1973, and there was a big sign on the road, a big billboard. It was big. It said Jaya Srila Prabhupdaa, a big poster flyer. And when Prabhupada drove in, he said, "Oh, my godbrothers will like this." And they liked it. They all came to see Prabhupada with their dandas, all the sannyasis. Went into the Bhajan Kutir. We want to know why you have taken the title of Prabhupada. That's your Guru's name. Why you have taken his name, Prabhupada? We want to know. Very happy. The devotees were really, really shocked. They'd never seen anything like this before. Nobody ever. Prabhupada was God. He was Master, Lord, everything for us. And there's someone speaking to him. Nobody ever spoke like that to Prabhupada in America. Of course, Prabhupada told us, it's God brothers, it's okay. But other senior Vaishnavas, you don't. But for God brothers, you can. I'm joking. So they are my God brothers. But anyway, at the time, it was really intense. And, Brahmananda Prabhu, he was like Bhim. When Drupadi was being disrobed, he wanted to jump up and tear all these sannyasis apart. And so he was getting very heated, and the disciples were completely aghast. So Prabhupada, he said, all of you go outside. All of his disciples, his sannyasi disciples, all of you go outside. They were getting disturbed. Of course, they all come and they look through the chatai, bamboo. You could hear everything and see everything. Then Prabhupada called Pradyumna Prabhu. He said, "We'll get my stationery pad and paper. Get my stationery pad." So Pradyumna went and he got his Prabhupada's stationery pad, and Prabhupada looked. He said, "Here, look, this is what I'm using. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami." That was the heading of his pad, notepad. I'm using, this is what I'm using. They are my disciples. And actually, he said it's the duty of the disciple to give the highest praise to his spiritual master, Vishnupad Prabhupada. This is the duty of the disciple. He must find the names to glorify his spiritual master. So he showed it to his sannyasi. Well, okay. And then they're all God brothers again, hugging and things like that. Prabhupada, very clever. expert. Yesterday was Gokishwar Das Babaji Maharaj.
Yeah.
Oh, there you So there was pastime on his Tir Baptiti. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur heard that Gokishwar Das Babaji Maharaj has left his body. I think he was living in Navadvip at that time. He used to live in Godrum Dweep and also in Navadvip. So I think that time he left his body was Navadvip. And so immediately Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was informed he was staying in Mayapur. And immediately went over to Navadvip. He said he wore a green chadar. He put a green chadar on and he went across to Navadvip. Because green, according to the Alankrita Shastra, the color green expresses separation. So immediately he put that green chadar and he went across to Navadvip, where there was a big debate was going on, who's going to give Bhaktisiddhanta the last rites, who will claim the body. And they said, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, I will claim the body because I'm the disciple. I said, but you're not a sannyasi? This was before he took sannyas. You're not sannyasi, you're not Babaji. Only a renunciant can touch the body of a Paramahamsa. You're not qualified. It has to be a renounced person to touch another. He said the idea is that they wanted to get that his bhajam place. Huh? They wanted, make a samadhi there because people will come and give donations. So he said they'll be interested in collecting donations. That was their main reason for wanting to claim last rites. So you can't touch him. So then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said, I may not be a Babaji, I may not be a sannyas. He said, but I've never done any of this monkey business. This monkey business, jumping from one woman to another woman. And I stick a brahmachari. I've never engaged in these things. If any of you have not any connection with women in the last year, you may take the body. And the police were there because it was kind of heavy. And the policeman said to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, how do you know? If they say no, whatever they say I will accept. Anybody within the last 6 months hasn't touched the woman. 3 months. 2 months. 3 days. And they all turned away and mumbling and walked off. If anybody has he said, I say this with all my strength, that if anybody who touched the body who are actually not qualified, he will be destroyed. So the Babajis turned around and left. So he said to his disciples, okay. Another thing that they were saying, the Babaji, is that he had his desire, last desire, was to drag his body through the streets of Navadvip and then throw it to the dogs. This was Gokishar Das Babaji Maharaj's last desire, they were saying. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, no, he said, you cannot understand the humility. He is saying that in all humility. We will carry his on our shoulders, just like Mahaprabhu carried Haridas Thakur and made his samadhi. So similarly, we will carry our Guru Maharaj, Gokishar Das Babaji Maharaj. We will lift him above our heads. We will carry him. So in this way, the disciples came and they took him, Gokishar, and made their samadhi there, his samadhi in Navadvip. And after some years, quite a few years, there was a flood in Mayapur. It was quite common many years ago. Actually, a prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Places will become flooded for 100 years, and Ganga will be moving for 400 years, and all the pastime places get washed away. So so then the Ganga came and it was eroding the bank. The waters were eroding the bank. Everything was caving in, and all that samadhi of Bhaktisiddhanta was going to become washed away by the Ganga, the remnants of his samadhi. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ordered his disciples, you go quickly and get those remnants of Gokishar. So they were able to do that just before the Ganga washed away the bank and the samadhi there. And so they built a very beautiful temple there, samadhi temple, at the Chaitanya Math. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that many offences were being made against my Guru Maharaj in Navadvip. And he did not like to stay there. So by the transcendental arrangement, now he has been shifted here. Now he is situated here on the bank of Radhakund. Radhakund is here. So he left Navadvip by the arrangement of the divine. And now he's staying here. They built a very beautiful temple. Now he's staying here, doing his bhajan on the bank of Radhakund. Of course, where we have Radhakund is there, Shamkund, Govardhan is there, you saw. So I asked one of his Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples, Damodar Maharaj. He used to be our neighbour when we first got here. He had a little house near ISKCON. And I asked him, how come you got Radhakund here and Shamakund and Govardhan also? According to the Navadvip Dham Mahatmya, Shamakund, Radhakund is in Ritudipa. That's the other side of the Ganga. And Govardhan is in Koladvip. That's the present-day Navadvip town. So why you have Radhakund here, and this is Mayapur, it's Antadvipa, the central island, how come you have this Shamkund, Radhakund here instead of Ritudvip and Navadvip town? And he told me, he said, because my Guru Maharaj was staying here doing that intense bhajan, at this place. Because of that, he said, my Guru Maharaj's bhajan asthana, it manifested here, where he was doing his bhajan. He has an eternal place of bhajan on the banks of Radha Kunda, where he does his bhajan in Braja. And because of the intensity of bhajan here, his bhajan asthana manifested here. So he was sitting in it. He was actually on the banks of Radha Kunda doing his bhajan. So he said, you can see? No Guru Maharaj, we cannot see. Radha Kunda is there, Sham Kunda. They said, can we excavate these, make the new kundas? Can we make Radha Kunda and build a Govardhan hill? I said, yeah. So then they dug the kundas and they built the Govardhan hill according to his direction. But he was actually, he could see that Govardhan, he could see Radha Kunda. He saw the deity of his name? I can't remember. Gandhava Giridhari. Radha Gandhava Giridhari. These are his favorite deities. So when they built the temple that they had the Chaitanya Math, then they went to Jaipur for buying some deities. Marble deities generally we get from Jaipur. And so he went with some disciples to Jaipur to find the deities. And he was looking in the different shilpi shops where they make the deities. And one of the shop owners came and he said, here is your deity here, in the corner. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, how do you know I want a deity? And how do you know that is my deity? And then the Shilpi said that last night this deity appeared in my dream, and tomorrow one Mahapurusha will come and he wants to accept your service. I want to accept his service. Krishna was speaking. So he said, you please take this deity as a donation. And he donated the Radha Gandha Giridhari. So beautiful deity. Of all the deities, I think she has such a modest face. Very, very young, modest. Yeah, it was his favorite deity also. Any question or comment? More pastime? Or you have a question?
Thank you, Guruji, for sharing your heart and giving us a lot of inspiration for our devotional service. One of the main inspiration which we get from you is your consistency in service. Means from so long being consistent in the service, which is like very rare to find. So one of the practical question which I want to ask for myself is that whenever some service comes, so being consistent in that service becomes very difficult. Yeah. Being consistent in that service becomes very difficult. Generally, mind hops from one service to another. If this service is not good, I should hop to another service. This service is not good, I should go to that service. So like this, and then we begin to feel that this is not for me, this is not for me. So like this, it keeps hopping. So sometimes if you would also have got such thoughts or like that. So how to be consistent in service and see it that is Guru's mission and to do Guru's service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Um, in my own experience, um, I was a seeker, and I was traveling in India. Anyway, the circumstances was I was praying that if there is a God, and there can only be one God, you please give me a sign. I was praying very sincerely, because I've just been traveling through the eastern countries, and you go through Europe and it's all Jesus is God, Mary is the God. Come further on to Turkey, Afghanistan, Iran, all these places. They're all Allah is God, the only one Allah. So then you come to India, then you got Krishna, Ram, you got so many different. So I was praying that there can only be one God, there can be many gods. So if there is God, you please give me a sign. And immediately I started to get the signs, different. The moment I walked out of the temple or mosque, the mosque, and just things like, I'm walking down actually I was stranded in Istanbul, and I was waiting for someone to send me some money. So then I'm walking down the street, and I see this guy, he's got a little table with some different sweets on it. Nice sweets. I'd like to have some sweet. I didn't have sweet for a long time. When you got no money, you don't buy sweet, your luxuries. So, and the guy calls me over, hey, come on, buy some sweet. I said, I haven't got any money. Oh, yeah. Oh. Well, I was just thinking that. I'm walking a bit further and looking in the hot beans in the shop window. They had hot bean soup. I was thinking, well, I didn't eat any hot meal for quite some time. I'd like a hot meal. Someone comes, hey, where are you from? You hungry? Here. Puts the money in my hand for enough for a bean soup. And so it was like that. All of my desires being instantly fulfilled. I think they call it instant karma. But it became a bit too uncanny to be true, and everything I was desiring was immediately manifesting. I prayed, give me a sign. I should have said, show yourself if he was revealing. But anyway, these little signs, and I thought, it's not just me in this world and what I do. Someone is out there looking after me, fulfilling my desires. So then I could start to feel the presence of myself in the hearts of others and in my own heart also. I could feel the presence of the Lord. And that's fantastic. So then that made me serious, more serious. To find out what I felt, it was myself. And it was also God. The feeling was there. But what is it? There must be more than just feeling. So then I made a serious search. I came back to India after coming back. So that taste was there, but after some time that feeling faded and wouldn't come back anymore, even though I pray very, very sincerely. It was just not there. But anyway, it was just the feeling, just the presence alone for some time was enough to make me dedicate my life. I must find out, what is that? Who was that? So that became my search. Yesterday they were reading from Bhagavatam class, Parikshit Maharaj. He was fortunate, he had a darshan of the Lord. So he was examining everyone, looking. So my search was like that. I'm looking for that. What was revealed to me for a short while. I must find that. Nothing else is really important in life. So I became happy. When I eventually found Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada explained who's Krishna. And Prabhupada says in one purport in Bhagavad Gita that when one hears about Krishna, his form, his pastimes, his dress, so one should become captivated. I think he uses that word. One should become captivated by this. And I was. When I found out, met the devotees, and they told me Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Became captivated to him. So now we know the absolute truth. Mata parandanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. Krishna says there is no truth superior to me. So you have superiors, but when you come to something that there's no superior truth, then that is God. So Krishna says, there is no truth superior to me. So Prabhupada said one should become captivated by all this information. This is what we're looking for. We're a part of Krishna. We belong with Krishna. Eternal children of Krishna. So it should be captivating, Prabhupada says. And for me it was. I thought this. what we've been searching for. What everyone is searching for is the ultimate. And when Bhaktivinoda Thakur says one is sincerely searching after love of God, he finds his resting place in Sri Dham Mayapur. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. So that Prabhupada came, he revealed who is God, who is Krishna, who we are, our relationship. And he's given us service. So how can I forget that feeling, even though it was for not for very long? I can never forget it. I came back in India with Pankaj Prabhu. This time I was serious and spent 1 year just traveling. So he is to be known in life. So at least we got the information. We may not have a realization, but we had the information. Krishna is there. And he's beautiful. He's all those things that the Shastras tell us and the Guru tells us. So why we shouldn't become captivated? So that's what kept me enthused. Well, at least I'm on the right path. We know who the Supreme Personality of God is. We know that we are His servants. So that should make us satisfied, despite all the ups and downs of the material world. You get enthusiastic by becoming enthusiastic, Prabhupada said. Or you associate with enthusiastic persons. Enthusiasm is the main thing in the spiritual world. Everything is done with enthusiasm. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Guruji, whenever we start any devotional activity like chanting or reading Bhagavatam or any service, in the beginning we have a lot of taste for it and we do it with a lot of care and attention. But over a period of time, we become mechanical and we loses this aspect of love and devotion since we get into auto mode. So how to handle that situation, because we see from your example from so long you are rendering the service of deity and the love and care which we have is increasing and increasing only. So how to get that aspect of love and devotion maintained in our service which we are rendering?
Prabhupada said there's four kinds of yogis. Karma yogi, Jnana yogi, Ashtanga yogi, Bhakti yoga. And they all have to wait till they leave their body, till they get their perfection. The Karma yogi, he has to wait till he leaves his body, then he goes to the heavenly planets that was his aspiration. Then the Jnana yogi, he has to wait till he leaves his body, then he merges into the Brahman. The Ashtanga yogi, he has to wait till he leaves his body and gets his siddhis. And also the Bhakti yogi, he has to wait till he leaves his body before goes back home, back to Godhead to be with Krishna, serve Krishna there. So you've got to wait. You all the transcendentalists, you have to wait till you leave your body. That's not much time. You've been through billions and billions of births. Now you just give this one life to Krishna. Despite the ups and downs, they will come. What can you do about it? Arjuna asked this question also, I have a problem. What was Krishna's answer? Krishna could wave his magic wand, but he doesn't. He said, you've got to tolerate, Arjuna. You have to tolerate, that's all. You're in the material world, these are the laws. You've got to tolerate. You're here from birth till death. You tolerate, but after you've tolerated that much and become Krishna conscious, when you leave your body, you step into the spiritual body and step into the spiritual world for the devotee. It's a pretty good deal. Just waiting a few years. The result is you get Krishna, you get your relationship with Krishna. You get love of Krishna. A good deal. You have to be a little bit tolerant and patient. Understand that we're in the material world, we have to live by her laws. Durga. It's her world. So we're in her realm, we have to abide by her orders. And the order is, you've got to take birth, you've got to get old, you've got to get disease, and you've got to die. What can you do? So tolerate for a few short years. Worth it. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Bhata.
Hare Krishna.
Can you share some pastimes of Radha Madhav here? You have served so long and serving. So any pastimes regarding what?
It's getting dark and it's time to go for H.G Prabhu's there.
Time to?
We have to go to that room to find the H.G Prabhu's chadar. So maybe a short pastime you can say. Not too long.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Radha Madhava Pasta. Radha Madhava ki jai.
Jai.
So this is Radha Madhava's pasta. I'm sitting here, you're sitting here. Now I'll tell you the history. History. When Srila Prabhupada started his he had a World Sankirtan party in 1969, 68. He started a World Sankirtan party. He started in India, in Gujarat and everywhere. They went all around India. When Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, one life member, Mr. Dalmia, he gave Prabhupada 3 sets of deities. Like the small Radha Madhava here, one set and 2 other sets. And Prabhupada sent one to Berkeley and one to Boston. And he kept the other set with him. And they were traveling and doing the World Sankirtan party. When he was in Gorakhpur, maybe Allahabad also, maybe 2 times, he started chant Jai Radha Madhava to these deities. And then he went into kind of an internal ecstasy. You can read this in this ISKCON songbook. You look at Radha Madhava Bhajan, he gives this explanation as how Prabhupada went into an internal ecstasy for some time. Then he became external again. Then he said, this is such a nice song. He said, here, it's a picture of Vrindavan. Govardhan is here, Jasoda is there. Such a nice song. It's a picture. And we like to think that this was like the installation of Radha Madhava, because after that, from that time on, Prabhupada chanted that Jai Radha Madhava. It's become a standard now in ISKCON temples all around the world, before Bhagavatam class. Anyway, it was a great success. They got back to Calcutta and Prabhupada said, where are the deities? From Calcutta they went to Mayapur to preside over the first Gaur-Purnima festival, 1972. And then after the festival finished, everybody left. Prabhupada said, where is Radha Madhava? They said, well, put them in the trunk, Srila Prabhupada, we're going to take them back to Calcutta. He said, no. Now they're here, they should stay here, they should not leave. So, said, where will they stay, Prabhupada? I said, well, where are you staying? He said, well, we've only got the Bhajan Kutir. Okay. They can stay there until we get some nice place for them. So then they stayed in the Bhajan Kutir. We were all living in the Bhajan Kutir. Not many devotees. But anyway, at the end of the year, 1972, the Prabhupada was donated some land in Hyderabad, and he wanted to build a center there and everything. So they wanted to have a big program. When Prabhupada had these Pandal programs, thousands of people would come. But they said, we don't have any deities. I think there was only 2 deities, sets of deities in India, maybe Bombay and Mayapur. Anyway, Hyderabad also. So there was no deities. So someone said, well, in Mayapur, Radha Madhava there, they're kind of a nice big size. Yeah, 20. So you can see quite clearly. We could take those because nobody goes to Mayapur. There's no one coming anyway, which is a fact. Nobody was coming. Where does it go to? The road, it doesn't go anywhere. We'll take Radha Madhava to the Hyderabad program. And in Calcutta they have a small Radha Gopinathji. They can go to Mayapur. So you can worship Gopinath and we'll take Radha Madhava to Hyderabad. So anyway, they'd made that transaction. And when Prabhupada came to attend the program, he was paying his obeisance. He said, who is the deity there? He said, it's Radha Madhava, Srila Prabhupada. He said, from Mayapur? Yes, Srila Prabhupada. I told you not to bring those deities should stay there in Calcutta. Why did you leave them? They should stay there in Mayapur. Now when they go back, they should stay and not leave. So this is historical. So Prabhupada, he wanted him to stay and not leave. And here is a song or a poem by Jayadeva Goswami. You all know Jayadeva Goswami. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jayadeva was living here. He was living at Pritukund. That's almost touching Radhakund. That is a low-lying area just before you get to the Chaitanya Mat. That is Pritukund. Maharaj Prithu excavated that place when he was leveling the earth. And a couple of hundred years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, Jayadeva Goswami, he was the Pandit of King Lakshman Singh. And he wrote some things, Jayadeva. And he prophesied also that there will be a great city will be built here. And a very astonishing temple will be built there. Oh. This is 200 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. So this is the vision of the Acharyas. We thought, he just so happened, by chance, Prabhupada chanted Jai Radha Madhava and went into ecstasy. Just by chance that Prabhupada told them they should, when they came from Calcutta, they should stay in Mayapur, should not leave. But the acharyas had this vision, became angry when they left. Deities, they should stay there. So these are all prophecies before even the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed. He revealed to Nityananda Prabhu, Nityananda revealed to Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami revealed it was revealed to somehow or another, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Yeah. So this is the vision of the acharyas. We may think it was all just convenient to make these moves. Let's move Radha Madhava to Mayapur. No, this is how the acharyas work. We cannot understand how they're behind their movements, but we can follow their instructions. That we can do. So this is Radha Madhava's Leela. They were there 200 years before. Let it be known. Yeah, so this is the vision of the acharyas. So then the whole thing becomes Radha Madhava's Leela, and Jayadeva Goswami says the predominating deities of that temple and city will be named Radha Madhava. So he pointed out this is somehow or another they brought Radha Madhava to Mayapur to preside over the Mayapur Chandrodaya city. Adbhut Mandir Hoy Bhi Prakash Gauranga Nitya Seva Hoy Bhi Prakash. From this astonishing temple, sanctioned or ordered by Mahaprabhu and is established by his followers. Yeah. Yeah, it's all going on under the divine direction. So it's not so easy to understand the divine direction. But anyway, we can do a little bit. Whatever the acharyas reveal, that much we can do. But this is Radha Madhava's Leela to engage the whole world in Harinam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Have a nice pilgrimage while you're here.
We had just our best pilgrimage in your appreciation, hearing wonderful transcendental person.
Let us express our heartfelt gratitude to Prabhu, 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 gratitude to